Is it possible that there's something we do not fully understand? The understanding of which would change everything. And it's in that searching for the answers to that question that I created my life's purpose. We're lost, or we suffer a loss, and then we are found, or we find something that wasn't there before we suffered the loss. God gives us the freedom to create a purpose that makes sense to our soul. When we learn to love those with whom we do not agree, now we've come to understand the nature of pure love. Pure love is who we are, because each of us is an individuation of divinity.
It's hard to say I love you.
Welcome to America Lost and Found. My name is Janelle Rapp. My sister Gina Boss disappeared on October 17th, 2000. In the 25 years since she vanished, her disappearance taught me that I did not have to miss out on my own life because I miss her. Though America Lost and Found has its inspirational roots in stories of missing persons, the grief their families face, their lessons, and their triumphs, this show is not just about missing people. If we are breathing, we face loss, but it does not have to define us. We feature guests who have learned to use loss instead of having loss use them. Our guests share tools that help them navigate their loss. Some will resonate with you, some may not. Our hope is that as you watch, like, and subscribe, you will not only gain tools for life, but you will be inspired to turn your loss into beautiful. Neale Donald Walsch has written 40 books on contemporary spirituality and its practical application in everyday life, including his new book, God Talk, Experiences of Humanity's Connections with a Higher Power. Neale is the best-selling author of the Conversations with God series, which 7 of the 9 books made the New York Times bestseller list. Book 1 remained on that list for 134 weeks, and I personally understand why. His titles have been translated into 37 languages and have been read by millions of people around the world. Please welcome Neale Donald Walsch.
Thank you, Janelle.
Your Majesty.
Now you got to tell them the joke, or they won't understand. I'm going to tell you the joke, folks. Janelle asked me, "How should I refer to you when we're on the air? Just call you Neale?" And I said, "No, Your Majesty," as a joke, of course. So now she does it in real life. You got to love it. You got to love it. It's lovely to be here with you, and thank you for the opportunity to share this time with you. How may I be of service to you, Janelle?
I love that you say that. Now, I've watched a lot of your YouTube videos, and you say that. And it really resonates with me because I feel that that is our purpose, is to be of service to those around us. And the fact that you say that so much, it is... I don't know. It's such an inspiration. I feel like when you say that on every podcast that I've heard you on, that other people have to go, wait a minute, am I doing that? And so I want to thank you for saying that. It really makes a difference.
You're very kind. You're very kind to make those comments. But Janelle, I want to make it clear to the audience that when I am being of service to another person, I'm serving myself. I'm serving my soul's agenda. And so being of service to another is not a selfless act. Every service to another, in my experience, is a selfish act in that it provides me with an opportunity to once more demonstrate and fulfill, experience, and express the highest thought I've ever had about who I really am. And that's why I came to this planet. That's why we all came here, in my understanding. So just so that people really hear me clearly, I don't feel that I'm being selfless when I make that statement. How may I serve you is my way of saying, in what way can I show up on this planet as the next grandest version of the greatest vision ever I held about who I am? I think, by the way, that idea didn't come to me out of the clear blue sky. I was invited to think of life in that way in my conversations with God. So that's why I say yes, I do say to everyone, not just to people with whom I do podcasts or interviews. If I'm in the grocery store, if I'm at the post office, if I'm simply walking down the street and someone runs into me that I may know, or a stranger asks me for a few dollars because he's homeless or whatever happens in my life. If I'm in the grocery store, I will say to the person, how may I serve you? If I encounter someone who seems to be having a challenge or a difficulty, or could use some help in some way or another. So thank you for those kind words that you said to me in response to my question. And so my question is now repeated. Dear Janelle, how may I serve you?
Well, you just served me really well. I got such a buzz off of that. That resonated also with me because I think that's so true. You know, it's to be of service is really a selfish act. It is serving ourselves and our own purpose and our reason for being. And wow. So early on in this conversation, I'm already buzzing. So thank you. We're done.
I'm already
We're
buzzing
done.
too.
We're good.
I'm already buzzy too, but not for the same reason. Just having a little bit of buzz here in the cup.
A little coffee?
Yeah,
Coffee buzz?
No, it's a little bit of water. People think it's water, but it's just clear liquid.
All right.
Yeah.
I see where you're going.
Yeah, but not to worry about it. I'm totally in control.
So the comedian Neale Donald Walsch enters the room.
Did you know that I did actually, honestly, this is a truth statement. I did stand-up comedy for a year and a half of my life.
I read that about you.
Yeah, I
That's
was a
pretty
stand-up
awesome.
comedian. Yeah, in Milwaukee.
Well, you're back. You're back.
Well, you once a comic, always a comic, I guess. You just can't tear the comedy out of a comic.
That's true. That's true. It's just natural. It flows.
I enjoy life.
That's important. That's important to find ways to enjoy life.
Sure, especially when you get to be my age.
Which is so young.
Yes, it is. It feels young.
Yeah.
I feel very young, but when you get to be my age, or at least when I shouldn't speak for the human population, but when I got to the age at which I now find myself, I realized that it is important to really bring the joy of life to your life. Because, I watched my dad, God bless him. I watched my father when he was my age turn into a robot. I mean, he was watching soap operas. He had nothing to do with his life. He had retired at 65. So by the time he got to be my age, I'm currently 81, which is, by the way, your cue to notice that, to say you don't look anywhere near 81.
You don't. No, you don't. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You should say that. But my dear dad, God bless him, he really was reduced to watching soap operas. I visited him, of course, in his elder years, and I watched him just fade away because he had retired and he had nothing to do with his life. So I'm very grateful to have found meaningful work to do in my life, even in my 80s. Very happy about that.
I think that's really an important point. The whole of our lives, we have a purpose. It doesn't end at 65. And, I admire that. The fact that you are still continuing to reach out and be selfish in servicing mankind. I really admire that. I have friends. I'm at the age where, people are retiring, and I have friends who are done. And I'm not criticizing them, but because we're not supposed to judge. But for me, I feel like I don't know if I'm ever going to be done until I'm done, until my last breath. I have to keep doing it in a selfish way, again, to fulfill my purpose, because I feel really like I'm here for a reason, and the purpose is right now, like in this moment. It's every moment, and I need to be present and accounted for so I can fulfill that purpose, and not just sitting down and going, well, I'm going to take a break now. I'm going to go on a lot of vacations. Not that I don't want a vacation here and there, but again, I really admire that you are doing that. I want to be like you when I grow up. Sir.
Most people don't know what their purpose is, though. Yeah, I mean, at least I don't want that to sound arrogant, but just a humble observation that I've made through the years, especially over the last 30 years since my book was published. 30 years ago, last month, was the anniversary of the publication of my first book. And what I've noticed across those years, Janelle, is that many people really don't know what they're doing here. That is, they don't have any connection, they haven't fully embraced the fact that they are not their body, they're not their mind, they're a spiritual entity having a body and a mind. These are pieces of equipment, just tools that we're using, at least in my understanding, tools that the soul is using to complete its agenda. But my observation of myself in my 30s, 20s, in my 40s, until I wasn't, 52 years old, until I really woke up to what I'm saying to you now. I threw the first 30 years of my adult life away, in a sense, because I really didn't have any idea what I was really doing here. I thought my life was about, get the guy, get the girl, get the car, get the job, get the house, get the spouse, get the better job, get the better car, get the better spouse, get the better spouse, get the better spouse, get the better spouse, which I wound up doing several times, actually. And then, finally get the gray hair, get the retirement watch, get the cruise tickets, get the illness, and then get the heck out. And that's what I thought life was about. I thought, okay, do the best you can and make a go of it, But I had no idea that I was here with a spiritual agenda. When I was given that information in what I've come to call my conversations with God, Janelle, everything changed in my whole life. As the French would say, raison d'être. My whole reason for being was altered dramatically. And I'm so grateful, because it made my 50s, my 60s, and my 70s, and hopefully many more of my 80s, meaningful and worthwhile, which I never would have expected. Honestly, it's kind of a reverse of most people's lives. My life really began for me in a rich and fulfilling way when I was 52. So I'm very happy that I had the experience. Thank you, God. And I'm very joyful that I'm able to say to people who are watching this podcast, guys, until you really understand the true purpose of life, which has nothing to do with your career, your livelihood, your income, all that stuff that we think that life needs to be about. When we start paying attention to our spiritual agenda, everything changes for the better. In my experience, I could be wrong, Janelle, about all of that. Even if I am, I'm going to hell, I guess.
Well, I don't think you are. I think you're touching on something that every soul needs to find for themselves. And I'm glad that you're a voice for them out there, and you're willing to keep putting it out there. I know for myself, when I was 3 years old, I thought I knew what I was here for. I really did. And it never ended. It never stopped. I thought I was here to do music and that it had to help people. And I went through my life with that in mind. And I felt like I never got there. Like I wasn't helping. I thought it was some big pinnacle moment, when I would reach it. Kind of like what you were talking about, the better spouse, the better job, the better this, the better house, whatever it might be. And I never got there with my music. I never got there where I felt like I was really helping people. And then my sister disappeared. And then I found all of the skills that I'd learned being a solo artist, the booking, the PR, all that came together to help families of the missing get media attention for their loved ones. So then I thought, okay, now it's very sad. I'm still sad that my sister disappeared. It's sad that she didn't get to stay around with me. But I felt like her disappearance had a reason and had a purpose, right? That together we're like linked and we created this thing. And then, after many years it's been 25 years of doing this work. But probably 10, 15 years ago, I started saying, no, I'm still not there. I'm not at my pinnacle, whatever that thing is, whatever that pinnacle is. And finally, I had been walking, and I walk a lot. It's like meditative for me. And one day it was like, your purpose is whatever's in front of you. It is not this big thing that you think it is. Stop chasing your purpose. It's right now. Who can you help? Who can you love right now? And today, I think it was you that said it. I was listening to one of your podcasts. Did you say, love who's in front of you?
Yes.
And so that just struck me, and like that really again sent me to another level of, all right, it's almost like when you hear these things, you can take a breath again. Like you can finally breathe, because up till then you're like, I got to get to this place where I finally reached my purpose. And then when you hear something like that, like this is like the third time during our 16 minutes together that I feel a buzz. It's like, okay, it's just right now. Love who is in front of me, who is with me right now. Love that person.
And by the way, not just love that person, but love them even if you disagree with them dramatically about politics or spirituality or any aspect of their lives. When we learn to love those with whom we do not agree, now we've come to understand the nature of pure love, which is, in my view, who we really are. So what I've been doing the past few years is running around the place, all over the planet, frankly, just inviting people to find a way to disagree agreeably. Then we can eliminate the alienation that we are seeing so much of on our planet now. Something that most people don't know, but I researched it and discovered that we've had violent conflict, we've had war on this planet for all but 5% of recorded history. That is, somewhere on the planet or another, we are constantly killing each other, constantly at war. What kind of a civilization does that? And we're doing it right up to this very day. We think that we're civilized. We think we are an advanced civilization, and we're killing thousands of people during the time that you and I are on the air. So somebody has to stand up and say, wait a minute, is it possible that there's something we don't fully understand here about life, about who we are, about why we're here, to say nothing of this thing that some people call God? Is it possible that there's something we do not fully understand, the understanding of which would change everything? And my answer to that question is obviously yes. So let's take a look at what it is we might have a new understanding of, and see if we can't step into that, or as Mr. Gandhi would have said, be the change you wish to see.
That's great.
You know, I
Can you
didn't mean,
tell me more about pure love?
yeah, I'd be happy to, Janelle. Thank you for asking that question. Because since I've had my conversations with God experience, I've been asked by many, many people, um, how would you define God? You know, what is your definition of the highest power? You know, here, this is something that many people don't know, Janelle, but sociologists over the past 20 years have been taking a survey, and they've gone to virtually every country on the planet with a single question, a one question survey. Do you believe in a higher power? And Janelle, 8 out of 10 people answer yes. That's 80% of the people from country to country, from culture to culture, say that yes, they agree, they believe in a higher power. So while we all agree there's more going on here than meets the eye, we don't all agree on what is that higher power? What does it want? What does it do if it doesn't get what it wants? What's the whole story about? And I'm using that as a way to back into my answer to your question about pure love, because I ask God the same questions that many people are asking. Who are you and what do you want? Come on, God, if there really is a God in heaven, just give me a straight answer, will you? Who are you and what do you want? Oh, and while we're at it, God, what do you do when you don't get what you want? Do you really send us to hell? Even for the smallest thing? I mean, like missing Mass on Sunday, which is what I was told when I was 9 years old, that if you miss Mass on Sunday and don't confess your sin before you die, you could even die on the way to confessional. But if you get hit by a car on the way into church, you're going to hell because you missed Mass on Sunday. That's called by the Catholic Church a mortal sin. So I asked God, okay, you know, who are you? And God said, Neale, you can define divinity in 2 words: pure love. So my answer to your question about pure love is that pure love is who we are, because each of us is an individuation of divinity. So each of us is comprised, or if you please, is made up of the same energy that makes up what we call God, pure love. Now, you know, when I say this in front of an audience, Janelle, I have to tell you that somebody usually gets up at the back of the room, some guy will say, oh, Neale, come on. We've been really listening to you for 26 minutes for you to tell us that God is love. Everybody understands that. I mean, all the world's religions, doctrinal differences aside, all the world's religions agree that God is love. And I have to say to my friend, wait a minute, I didn't say God is love. I said God is pure love. Oh, my friend in the back of the room will say, what's the difference? The difference is that pure love needs, expects, requires, and demands nothing in return. What is pure love? Pure love is a love that says to the ones that we love, I love what I see, not what I get. But you know what's sad for me, Chanel? I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but for the first half of my adult life, I loved in the other way. I loved what I got. I loved the other person because of what I got from them, which was just a way of loving myself. I was just using them as a way of loving myself. Only when I had my conversations with God that I finally learned how to love another person if I got nothing in return. I love you because of what I see, not because of what I get from you. That's what's made my current marriage the most wonderful experience of my life, because I've been married for 17 years now, which doesn't sound like a big deal to many people, but for me, it's a record. Because I was going through relationship after relationship after relationship, thinking that, okay, I was in a trade deal. I thought that relationships were like trade deals between countries. You give me what I want, I'll give you what you want.
Right.
But I discovered from God what pure love is really all about. God said to me, Neil, the most important message to the world that I would send you is, you've got me all wrong. And I said to God, okay, fair enough. If you think we've got you all wrong, what is the wrong that we are thinking? What's the mistake we're making? And God said, Neil, you guys down there on earth think that your relationship with God is transactional. My relationship with you is not transactional. I don't give you what you want only if you give me what I want. It's not a transaction. I give you what you want. Not even if you don't give me what I want. That's not the reason. Neil, sweetheart, there's nothing that I want. I am, in fact, the highest power in the universe. What could I want from you? So there's nothing that I want, that I need, that I require, that I demand, and nothing I would punish you for if I don't get what you think that I want. And I said to God, wow, this is too good to be true. Are you telling me that I go to heaven even if I don't give you what you want? This is too good to be true. To which God replied, sweetheart, if God can't be too good to be true, who can? So, okay, I said, I got it. God said, now, since you understand that my relationship with you is not transactional, are you willing to love the person on the pillow next to you in the same way? Can you say to that person, I don't love you if, I love you because of what I see over there, not what I get from you.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
That's what I mean by pure love. Which is all contained in the book. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's okay. Go ahead.
But it's all contained in a book I wrote on the subject called The God Solution. Because it's God's solution to what's going on in the world today. So I wrote a book called The God Solution, which, by the way, I give people for free. I don't give them a hard copy, but if they want me to upload the book to them, I will upload a copy of The God Solution to anybody who asks for it. All you have to do is write me an email, and my email address is impossible to forget. Neil@NeilDonaldWalsch.com. Quite simple. Anybody who sends me an email and says, would you please send me a copy of the digital version of your book, I will send it to them by return email.
Thank you for spending time with us at America Lost and Found. Stay tuned for part 2. And remember, like, subscribe, and share so that we can keep offering insight and hope to those ready to rise above life's difficulties. Until next time.